Within the last 20 years, the film industry has broken into a new genre of film, one that highlights, applauds, or sensationalizes the Black experience in the United States. From depictions of familial experiences to struggles with identity or illustrations of violence and degradation within communities, there has been a prevalence of movies like these coming to screens. The 2009 Lee Daniels film Precious, for example, expresses this kind of sentiment in the form of the main character, who is the namesake of the film. Precious struggles with her education and home life, and in this scene perfectly encapsulates her position as a Black woman.
These testers paint a picture of me with no brain. These testers paint a picture of me and my mother. My whole family is less than dumb. Just ugly black grease to be wiped away.
Precious explains that her livelihood, which is supported with clips throughout the whole film, is secondhand and undesirable, and that she will always be a step or two behind others due to an impoverished home and the color of her skin. We can see themes underscoring the message Precious says in Du Bois' first chapter of The Souls of Black Folk, which is titled Of Our Spiritual Strivings. This chapter states, "Whatever of good may have come in these years of change, the shadow of a deep disappointment rests upon the Negro people, a disappointment all the more bitter because the unattained ideal was unbounded save by the simple ignorance of a lowly people." These impositions against Precious are not intended to make her specific life be less valuable or equitable. Rather, the impositions against Black people like Precious thrive from a system that was never meant to be correct for them in the first place. Moonlight, a film by Barry Jenkins from 2016, tells the tale about a boy named Chiron and three critical phases of his life that tell us about sexuality, race, and identity. Growing up in a Black Miami neighborhood never left Chiron in a position of safety, as we see him get teased and bullied at school. Nevertheless, a friend named Kevin comes into the scene and expresses love and admiration to Chiron, something he never got at home. However, the next day, Kevin is forced to beat and humiliate Chiron at school, reinforcing the stereotypes that Chiron and Kevin had to sit in their whole childhood. The movie explains Black men in this community to be strong and bold and intense, but never vulnerable. It's these stereotypes and aestheticized representation of people like Chiron that create racialized formations of what someone should be, as explained in Monique Roloff's essay, Racing Aesthetic Theory. She states, "They have structurally given aesthetic meanings to racial differences, associating racialized attributes with disparate capacities to realize aesthetic value in the spheres of art, bodily appearance, and comportment." In Chiron's case, we see a Black gay man growing up in a community of people who have never needed to approach someone like that. And it's these racialized formations that lead to violence and self-hatred, something that Chiron toils with in all phases of life.
Flat irons, top of the line, metallic, heat absorbent alloy, metal.
Another film that experiments with the aesthetics of race is the Carlos Lopez Estrada film from 2018, Blindspotting. This film deals with an ex-convict, Colin, who struggles with race identity as he fights to be thought of as Black, but still not wanting to be considered a threat. Nevertheless, Colin's best friend Miles comes to a breaking point of acting Black, or demeaning the sense of the word by adjusting to his community's behavior by proxy. Another way of describing this is the opposite of Chiron's situation in Moonlight. Miles has gained an aesthetic representation from a racialized formation, rather than the other way around. This film does an amazing job toying with the dichotomy of Colin and Miles, their situations similar but different in the sphere of race identity.
You ain't gotta do shit. You ain't gotta worry about you changing up your clothes or your lifestyle. You ain't gotta worry about none of that shit. You're a big Black dude with fucking braids in Oakland. Nobody is misreading you, Colin.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Roloffs explains in her previously mentioned essay that, on behalf of desirable traditions of art and craft, and with the aim of forging suitable grounds for social justice and the production of knowledge, We must channel aesthetic experience into liberatory directions. Indeed, according to Fanon, we must fashion it in ways that help us to engender adequately human forms of aesthetically modulated cultural life. The method and madness of film can sometimes muddle the effects that are trying to peek through. In modern cinema, there are many themes that do not completely encapsulate the experience of a black person, or the toil of racism through the lens of a character like Chiron or Precious. As we continue to fight racism and racist ideologies, these POC-directed films have made important marks in the industry in presenting the black story to audiences like us in ways that are true and telling to them.